Hey, what's up, guys? Thank you for revisiting the channel. Come back to you guys for an update on the 2013 Buick Regal fuel injector replacement. Um, what I wanted to kind of touch on, I wanted to just be a little bit more detail and exactly what some of these things are, what you got to do to get these things disconnected. Yeah, so the first thing I did that I didn't mention in the last video that I want to make a notice in this video are some of these harnesses. Like for instance, this one. This goes to the throttle body, to the throttle body motor that opens and closes the air that's going from outside to the engine. This is the harness. Now when you look at this and you're fiddling around with it, you don't necessarily really know how to get this thing out unless you have essentially assembled one of these GM cars before. But essentially all it is, so it's going to be plugged into the throttle body. So the throttle body is going to sit right here, of course, but this is going to be plugged into the throttle body, and all you do is get a flathead screwdriver right in between this red piece and this black piece, and you will just lever the screwdriver out, and then this red piece just pops right out, and then it slides right off. And so just make note of that, that you do that with this harness. Otherwise, if you like pushing this red piece in that way, or I don't know, trying to press it downward like I'm doing here, if you do it that way, you'll probably end up snapping it, then you're not getting it off. So just be very mindful that you kind of feel around in there. You won't be able to see it unless you got a camera down there. So feel around in there, get that flathead screwdriver in between, once again, this black piece and that red tab there. Push the screwdriver out so that this tab pops out this way, and then it slides right off. Nothing further from there. So just be mindful of that. Kind of see this harness, I kind of broke this one just because it's brittle plastic, man. Once these cars get old and the heat and all that stuff, dude, these things just become so brittle, and it's just like, why the heck do you even work on them anymore? But this one, yeah, did with the old injectors that caused me to have to replace it was that when I was bending on that on the fuel rail, I actually popped this little nipple off on all four of them. I got four because it's a 4-cylinder, obviously, as we know. But yeah, I popped that off, and that's obviously no longer a good injector because that's not going to the fuel rail. So now we're here. I'll keep you guys in tune with the progress here. Also, the other thing that I wanted to make mention, like I said, one of the other guys who made a video, he made a very short video to take this throttle body hose off. It's this little ring right here that you just twist. And if you kind of think righty tighty lefty loosey, if you and what I did, I just took a flathead screwdriver and I hit it on this notch. Give me 1 second. I'll actually demonstrate it for you guys. 1 second here. Okay, so here we go. So if we look here, I don't know if it was, I tried to do this when it was a little cooler outside, and I don't know, it just did not work out so well. But this time it's much warmer out. I don't know a bit or whatever the case is, but if we look here, what I did was I just took this flathead right there, okay, and I just, obviously you see it's in there, and all I did was take a rubber mallet. I don't have it with me, but all I did was just give this some taps on it, and then it twisted right off. So that's how we want to take this one off. Putting it back on, well, I haven't gotten that far yet, so we're going to see how that goes. But this is kind of how I took this one off. And like I say, kind of think of it righty tighty, lefty loosey. Obviously, we're hitting it this way, so that's going to turn this ring this way, right? So that's obviously left if you're looking from, if your view is going up, okay? So just take note of that, because I don't want you guys to just be hitting that way and then you're hitting the wrong way, and then you bust this ring off, because yeah, replacing this hose is not fun at all. But I would actually consider, well, first of all, these things right here, these little retainer clips, it pops off of your old factory fuel injectors. Make sure you have that. If you do not have that, you will risk the possibility of destroying your new injectors or your old injectors, whatever. Because what this thing does is that it actually pushes against your fuel rail when it's being seated, and you're torquing it down back into the block. That's what that's for. If you cannot push the injector back into the block, you're going to be in for a rude awakening. So just make sure you keep that ring. Be very mindful of that, so that way you're not going in empty-handed, I'd say. But anyway, I would recommend that you actually put the fuel injectors in the rail first. And as you can see, they have these little cutouts for this little black piece right here to go right into it, so you know that you have it seated properly. But I would definitely consider putting this fuel injectors onto your rail first before you put it into the block, because otherwise you will risk, while you're trying to get the rail back in there, if these injectors are already inside of the block, you will risk the possibility of busting this nipple off like I did. So just be very mindful of that. Back with you guys on this stuff. On these fuel injectors here, I already got 3 in already, but I made a huge mistake in these when I first done it. And what I didn't do here, and this is why it's in the part 2 here, because I want to make sure you guys know. But what I didn't do here, me being silly and anxious and all of the above, I did not put any gas on this ring and the nipple. Okay, so that it can go in there really nicely, because when I was pushing it in there, I actually snapped my brand new injector. I snapped that part right there. So I'm just trying to help you guys prevent that same error, because it's a very costly error for something so minor. But what I do here is, where the injector port is here, I got myself, don't talk about my underwear, this is my napkins, okay? They're clean, but don't judge. Anyway, so I went ahead and got some gasoline, okay? And then I put it into a little, whatever cup of your choosing. I dipped a Q-tip in there, a Q-tip, whatever you feel. And then what I want to do, because you want to kind of get the surface nice and smooth so it goes in easy and you don't snap it. So I get that soaked, that Q-tip soaked. I know that's kind of blurry. And then I go ahead and just swab the inside of it. And then you'll see, like, even when you do clean it like this way, there's quite a bit of dirt that actually comes off, and I make sure I get the ring and, you know, all around, right? So once I do that, you got to be quick because it dries very quickly. Grab your fuel injector, and then I'll dip it in that cup there. Get some gasoline on it. It's a little low now because I spilled some, me being silly. Got some gasoline on there, and then that bad boy should slip right on in. Definitely do that, otherwise you will be pissed, because you will snap that thing off and wait days again for another part and spend an extra unnecessary money. So after you guys got the fuel injectors in, guys, you see I got the fuel rail in there. Okay, what I do, I slide it in there, the fuel rail, I slide the whole thing in there, and I try to just make sure that it's lined up as best as I could possibly get it. And then what you want to do here, just so that nothing binds up, I don't think it really matters, but I just kind of hit all of these screws. I just tighten down a little bit at a time, so it kind of gives me a little bit of a guarantee. Yeah, there we go, that's good, better. I just hit all of these screws. That's why I just screw a little bit in, going down the rail. Doesn't really matter the order, just a little bit of a guarantee that everything is going down evenly and you're not at too much of a risk of snapping anything. What I did do was, obviously I got my new fuel line here that goes into the rail. Yeah, there it is. yeah, so that guy, I still gotta put it in the rails. Freaking blurry. There we go. I gotta put this into the rail. Still gotta do that. But I do just have it hanging off of this little hanging off this pump here. I just got it screwed up in there. It's kind of weird how this thing is just so, like, the way it's angled. It's like really weird. So just, if you can, take a mental shot of your old line, how that was in there, so that way you get it right. I didn't do that, but yeah, you know, first time for everything. All right, putting that fuel line in now. Be very careful, guys. Do not torque this stuff. Even those bolts for the fuel rail, just torque it enough to whereas you just give, like, maybe, because I don't have a torque wrench, and many people, I would assume, may not have a torque wrench, and it may be difficult to find the torque specs of this stuff. I do have a manual for these Buick Regals. I got it from emanuals.com, and it's actually the Euro version of the Regal, but obviously it's all the same stuff, right? So just be very careful. Basically what I did with these screws, I didn't show it in the video, other than just me kind of just hand tighten it and all with the ratchet, I'm sorry. But what I did with these screws here is I just basically just torqued it, just enough to where I'm putting in maybe a quarter of my strength into it, and then just calling it good. I think that would be more than good enough. The same with these. Like, you don't want to torque these really hard, okay? That's this line, and then the one that goes up right there, okay? Just be very careful when you're tightening this stuff. Just give it same thing, just enough. It just stops you. You know, you put a quarter of your torquing strength in, and then it stops you. After that, leave it and then just call it good, because the thing is, you don't want to warp that aluminum there, because then you have a little bit of a larger problem, okay? So just keep that in mind. So I got the little foam piece back in there. To be very truthful with you, not really, don't really remember how I had it in there, but I think that's right. We gonna find out, which I think so, because here's the little cutout for the little throttle body on the manifold. So we're good. This is how that goes back in. I got you guys. But got my foam piece back in there, as you can see. Pause video if you need to look. All right. And the way I got this manifold out was a little bit of a pain. And I mean, you just see this thing. I mean, you see it on your car, right? Like, it's got a little bit of finagling you have to do around this freaking octopus harness here, okay? So if I remember correctly, because it's been a little bit, because waiting for parts, trying to get this darn thing back together, but I think what I did was I kind of put the manifold in there. Here, let me grab it one time so we can see exactly. So this manifold, sorry guys, I mean, like I told you guys, this is my first time making videos, okay? So please bear with me. I suck, all right? So anyway, so I put this manifold, I got it facing this way, but you got all this, the piping, the plumbing, and the freaking octopus harness here. You know, you just got all of those things. So I think what I did, I kind of put it in this way and then snaked it in and then pulled it out this way. So I put the whole thing right through the octopus harness and the wiring, about right there, and then I had to move it any kind of way that I can get it to pull it out. I'm going to try to reverse those same steps to get that puppy back in. All right. And yeah, like I said, the first video was just me just saying, oh yeah, everything was already taken apart, but you know, now we're here and we're gonna do better next time. So that's the way I got the manifold out. I'm going to try to do that same kind of motion finagling thing and see if that goes anywhere. Other than that, yeah, keep on going. All right guys, so far I got the manifold in there, intake manifold in there, like expected. It was not an easy task, that is for sure. But the way that I done it was, okay, so I got the manifold here. We got the manifold going in like that, okay? So because first of all, this fuel line here, because of that fuel line and because of the octopus harness and this bracket on the side that I was mentioning earlier, I had to take the manifold and I had to snake it in this way first, and then with your hand you gotta kind of tilt it up so you can get it onto these studs, and then it will go in there. Now in the same process, this bracket that was on the side, let me see if I get a good picture of this bracket on the side, I did have to kind of pull it out just a little bit because, as you can see, some of the little scarred marks on there. Okay, see if I can focus it right there. Those scarred marks, that was from this bracket right here. So you gotta pull that just a little bit, and then obviously once you are ready to tighten it all back down, then you just push it back, and then it should all go. But yeah, so still gotta get that thing on. I'm not ready for it. Keep you guys updated.